Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Tony Jacobin, and we are on Get to Born in the marketing series, to be more accurate. The topic of the day is customer insight model, and more precisely, even, well, if it was possible, we're going to focus on the multi-attribute model on the map. What is it? Well, basically, it's a marketing tool that has been conceived in a way to put a little more rigor, a little mass in marketing, because marketing suffers a lot of trouble compared with finance and production, not enough metrics. Okay, so how can we avoid this turmoil? Well, basically, I'm going to explain to you first. What we're trying to do is that instead of saying we're better for X, Y, and Z and using only qualitative element, we are going to figure out some characteristics. We're going to put the weight on these characteristics. We are going as well to rate our competitors, and as that, we'll have a perfect benchmark. And but you will say, how can you be sure that it will work all the time? This is something that you need to think about. At this point in the second bullet, basically, you're not completely sure at 100% that what people say is what they think. So there's a bias that needs to be corrected. Same as in the poll, the typical political polls that you get just before, after the election, what they've been voting, and so on and so on. So this is an example. Okay. So how are we going to proceed? Well, I'm going to show you a little more how you can calculate it. Then we'll have two examples, and afterwards I'll make a wrap-up concerning this issue. So you need to figure out what are the most important features and benefits. So you can make a survey, you can have some client, you can make some internal issues. I recommend you to go out of your office and to exchange with real customer. It's much better. When you make the sum of the weights that are going to be taken into consideration, be sure that the sum is equal to 100, because if not, well, basically it will be wrong from the beginning. So afterwards, you can imagine. You need to pinpoint the right competitors. Are they the exclusively the existing one? Can't you forecast that someone is going to enter your business? Well, think about it, okay? Really important. You have to rate your competitors. Here we are taking the scale 1 to 10. I think it's fair enough. And on top of that, what you're contrasting is the weight by the rate, and that you got an idea about the positioning of each of the competitors. For instance, just to think about something that may be nice. For you, you can say, well, I hope that all of you have lovers. If not, you may be targeting someone, and this is something that you will be able to offer to your imminent lover. And so what are we going to talk about here? Well, we consider that you may go to 3 different cities in the world, which are quite recognized in that sense: London, Rome, and Paris. I'm not saying they are exclusive. I'm not saying it has to be necessarily in Europe. But yeah, just to comment some issues. Cities with history, cities with charm, and plenty of other things I was going to see in the attributes. So here, first you need to think about, it's a weekend for your lovers. What should I consider? So you got here, sorry, of course the last one. You got here the attributes. You need to put a weight for them, because you're not going to the whole market. Not everybody will have the same target about weekend for a lover. For someone, it will be just to go some monuments. For some other people, it will be to go party. And some will say, no, there's a difference between nightlife and party, because they will say, no, I'm interested in going to a concert, to church, have a nice restaurant, and then to go to sleep. And others will say, no, when we party, it's from late hours. I want to go, let's say, from 1 to 7. Okay, so this is something that is quite different. And you need to say, who are you targeting? How much money are you going to spend? What is your target? So here, this is where you choose all these elements. And afterwards, you will see for your possible customer, So people that say, hey, this is what interests us. It might be slightly different, but just to give you an idea, if you are on the right path. Okay, what are they thinking about these three different places? Okay, you can be in one of these places or not necessarily. I mean, just what you want to do. Okay, so you can be in London and you can say, what can I do in order to improve my positioning? What's my major weakness? Weakness. Should I consider that there's a minimum level in one aspect that can be a killing issue? Or on the other hand, what counts is a total average. Well, no, difficult issue. So at this point, this is where the ratings of your customer enter into consideration. Okay, you say, what am I doing now? Just to know, well, pretty simple. In order to know who's the best, what you do is that you figure out the aggregate grade for each of them. So in the case of London, I explained only for once. Then you've got a solution of a spreadsheet. So I invite you to stop before considering which one is the best place. What you would do, you go, you make a post, and you try to work to see where's the right place. And you don't say, it seems to me that the wind's coming from the west, so necessarily this is the place where I should go. No, you make the math, okay? So for London, it's 6 multiplied by 0.1, plus 2 multiplied by 0.2, plus 7 multiplied by 0.15, plus 4 multiplied by 0.1, plus 6 multiplied by 0.4, plus 9 multiplied by 0.05. You do exactly the same thing for Rome and Paris, and what you get here is an individual evaluation of 530 for London, 8 for Rome, and 425 for Paris. In that case, Rome is the elected places. Now, this number doesn't mean almost anything. So what you need to do is you need to transform the individual level evaluation into market share. And in that case, well, it's pretty simple how to do it. So you just say, hey, London 530 divided by the sum of this one. And you can see the market share of London will be 30% with this type of customer, assuming that they will do what they say. Rome 46 and Paris 24%. Okay, so this is theoretical issue. So if this happens exactly, it happens, well, great. You did a fantastic job. Most of the time, it won't be the case. So what can happen for it? Instead, you can say, well, at the end, Rome has only 24% of market share and Paris has 36% of market share. Well, how is it possible? Well, pretty simple. People may say, we don't want to go to Paris because there's a French clash at this moment. Could be an issue. Or another issue is, well, we already went to this place some time ago, so we're not interested in, it's not that big, blah, blah, blah. You have plenty of reasons. What is important is just to say, hey, how can I modify it by a safe use of this tool? What can be modified before? What can be modified afterwards? What are the key success factors of these tools, basically? So here, I let you think about it. Try to think. We make a second exercise, and after we'll come back. Because it's interesting that you think about, hey, what can I move? So first you need to understand how it works, and but think about it, make a post, write down, and we're going to contrast it. But before we go to the second example, as I told you initially, so here it's completely different business because we're talking about wealth management. Well, plenty of zeros. And here we're contrasting the situation among 4 cities. Imagine we are in Madrid, just to tell you a small different case, and you need to say, well, you're supposed to compete with Zurich, Jersey, and Cayman Island. And you need to say, hey, what are the elements that I would like to be taken into consideration if you're in wealth management? Well, it's always better if you're if there's not a big difference, big gap, or it's difficult in terms of hour, in terms of customer relationship. So proximity is as well important. Risk of regulation. Imagine that there's a major change. Well, basically, you're going to be surprised, and you say, "Well, I'm hooked in this country, and I have no interest in this country at all, except to put my ceremonies there." You've got data protection. until what extent are your data protected? And you've got an issue which is called fiscal haven, which is quite shaky right now with all the change that you may have. Okay, so this can be the case for your potential customer. This is the weight, so you can see that 2, 3, 4, 7, 10. So we've got 100. Sum is equal to 100, so it's done adequately. And here you can see the grade. So customer relationships, you can do it well in Madrid. In terms of proximity, if it's for Madrid clients that are in wealth management, it's not so bad. Risk of regulation, it's okay. You're in EU, you cannot change, but data protection and fiscal haven problem. So here again, if you want to make the calculation, here what does it give you? It's 10 multiplied by 0.2 plus 10 multiplied by 0.1 plus 10 multiplied by 0.1 plus 2 multiplied by 0.3 plus 1 multiplied by 0.3. So at this point, you need to say, hey, who's the winner, who's the loser, and so on and so on. So it's really interesting that you pay some attention to this element because basically it will enable you to understand in a much better way what happened among the financial center as this one. Okay, so do you remember my question? Okay, what can you change easier in an easier way? So what can be changed easier? It's the rating. Why? Because you can pick up another set of customers and they will have different value. Here, they will rate the places different place. After, the weight is more difficult because you assume that they all answer to the same paradigm. If you need to change this, I mean, it would be difficult to compare your previous survey to the current one. And it just let me remember talks I had with Salah Morty about the World Economic Forum. So you can see about the weight indicator rather than time. I was saying, well, I think that it could be improved over time. I was saying, yeah, but there's a problem is that if we want to contrast previous tracks, there's no other way to proceed than to keep the same metrics. So this is a problem because to a certain extent, some metrics have lost some of their value over time. Okay, so quite interesting to know this. Then what you need to see that everything is related. So I told you it has to be convergent because otherwise it's really flexible. You can change the weight, you can add new attribute, you can take off some attribute, you can change your rating, you can change competitor, you can almost change everything. And you can use it also for a segmentation positioning. Now, what you cannot do, this is important you keep it in mind, is that if you get a wrong set of attributes, your model has no value. If you don't have the right weight, you're done. Is there segments you haven't perceived or process that you didn't depict, you're done as well. Talking about process, just to be sure you got it. Imagine that you are selling chocolate bar like Twix, Mars, or whatever, and you think that they're only sold out through a vending machine. Well, you just miss a big picture of the story because many of them are sold out through supermarket, hypermarket, and so on. Big point. And externalities, you've got positive and external and negative. For instance, in a plant, in a paper plant, well, a positive externality would be the jobs that will be created within this community, and the negative externality would be the element that come from the pollution of the river, because you cannot make paper without river, without water. So in that sense, what does it mean when I say not to use map? Well, basically you've got a sequence of issues. Because you cannot track them over time, you won't be able to understand externalities. So really, really important to keep it in mind. And this is it for our series on the multi-attribute model. I hope you enjoy it and hope to see you soon on K2Born. It was Tanguy Jacopin. Bye-bye.